talking about as far as a prediction?
He talking about sports.
All right. We are live on Facebook right now, y'all. Let's give everyone about a minute to grab a drink, grab a beer, grab yourself.
Yeah, I'm doing it this time.
What do you got there, Jim? What are you drinking, Jim?
I consider today a special occasion. It's the first one of the. Is it the first? It's the first one of the new year, right?
Yeah.
So I've got this tequila. It's a what is that? An extra añejo. It's one of my good tequilas. It's called Grand Mayan Tequila Extra Añejo. It's really good. So yeah, grab some of this stuff. It comes in a really cool bottle, also.
It's beautiful, but is that clay or is it painted glass?
It's clay. It's like a
nice,
like some kind of.
That's nice glass.
Yeah.
Fabian, what do you have to drink?
Well, I'm going a little light because I was feeling sick earlier. My head was killing me, so I just took a PM about an hour ago. So I'm starting off with some fresh ice, some apple juice.
Nice.
Mix it with Red Bull, and that should get me started. And then later on, I might be drinking. But right now, I'm just apple juice and Red Bull and a PM. And I'm good to go.
That's important to know, too. You don't have to have a beer when you're hanging out with us on the podcast. Ooh, Jim's got some nice. That's a dark tequila, man.
Isn't it?
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's dark. It's aged for like an extra 2 weeks or something.
Wow.
There's actually, I had a plan to drink like Jim, but today I'm doing it easy.
See, no, I'm drinking like Fabian. Fabian's normally the guy that's got the Miller Lite, and I got a cold Miller Lite. Just because
man, that looks good too. That looks good.
When I'm thirsty and I get like a real strong beer, I tend to drink it fast. So I just wanted this is a thirst quenching beer. So
that's the Miller Lite?
Yeah. Miller Lite. Cheers. Here's to 2021, y'all.
Cheers.
All right.
You usually be drinking Cal, right? The name of your drink is Cal,
right? Like Spotted Cow, yeah. Yeah, it's like a local brew.
Oh, I don't get that. I'm not a Wisconsin beer drinker. Well, that's not true. There's a couple of cool next door beers that I'm really digging, but there's a few beers in Wisconsin. I'm a Colorado beer guy.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Name a beer. Name a Colorado beer.
90 Shilling by Odell Brewing Company. Yeah, Odell's 90 Shilling is my favorite beer of all time for sure. That's there used to be a company called HC Burger Brewing Company that's gone now. They had a chocolate stout that was insane.
Right.
Yeah, and then recently a company called Fort Collins another brewery called Fort Collins Brewery came out. These are all Fort Collins brews also. But yeah, I mean, when I started drinking I remember when this is a good story. I'll do really fast, I promise. But in Fort, when the whole microbrew thing started coming out, I think I was right around 21 when it was coming out in Colorado area, and my buddy and I, JD Barber and we were sitting there. We would drink we were drinking like Red Hook and all these like brews that were coming from New York and Washington, Oregon, stuff like that. And then
it's not the DJ JD Barber, is it?
No.
Okay.
No. So I'm like sitting there. At some point, we were in some bar, and this guy goes, "You gotta try this new brewery. It's local. This new beer." And we were like, "Whoa, all right, what's it called?" And they're like, "What's its beer? It's called Fat Tire." And I was like, "Fat Tire? That's a cool name." And the whole bicycle thing, Fat Tire beer. All right, cool. So we tried Fat Tire, and it was like Fat Tire Brewery. I mean, that's like one of the big beers now. It's like this. That's one of the when it came. I remember when I was years ago before you could get it here. We were like, "Hey, when you're in Colorado next time, pick me up a couple cases of Fat Tire." So, and I was like, "Dude, I was there when it came in for real." So, yeah, I think we decided that we were the reason why they became as big as they did is because of how much of it we drank.
Yeah, Colorado, I would say, has a microbrew culture very similar to Wisconsin, where there's a lot of people making their own craft beers and small scale. Yeah,
well, it's a lot, and it got so big so fast. And I was working at not long after that. I worked at a bar restaurant called the Smiling Moose. Shout out to Smiling Moose, man. That was where all the Denver Broncos would hang out when they were on their summer whatever training that is. Anyway, they would hang out at the Smiling Moose and stuff. But all the moose girls would would come out, and God, what a blast! But we had, I think it was like some bajillion beers on tap. It was like I'd say probably 35, 40 beers on tap at any given time. I think, if I remember right. I mean, I could be exaggerating, but it was a lot. I know that. But yeah,
That sounds good.
we used to burn through a bunch of different kinds. That was a really cool. But I mean, one of the cool things back then is like how it got so big so fast, and then it just went all over the place. Like it just, I think, I mean, I don't know how it. I never really did any research on it, but it was pretty impressive. Drank a lot.
Well, here's an interesting. Oh, go ahead.
That's another thing too. Is that, I mean, I say that we drank a lot, but until you're in the Wisconsin drinking culture, all right, a lot it's relative. Now, I mean, we're all really good at saying, "Oh man, you wouldn't believe how much we drink, dude." Until you're a bartender in Wisconsin, man, you do not understand. Do not understand. I don't care where you're from. The Wisconsin drinking culture is a different world.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
So
it is.
So beer. So back in the day, and I'm talking 100 years ago, beer was a micro brew culture. There was little local brews. Every town had their own little brew, maybe a couple different brews, and they had these brewmasters, these small scale micro brews. And basically what we now call a macro brew, something like this, or you got your Coors, you got your Bud, you got your all those things that then were just like, just make as much of this and ship it everywhere. What they ended up doing, they would buy up these little microbreweries, because you could buy up a microbrewery for almost nothing, and they wanted to be the local beer. So that's when you started seeing the bars, kind of like, I mean, Germany kind of did this years ago. And so then you'd have a bar that was basically, had a Busch Light sign in the window, or had a Bud sign. And then those became the national beers, where then TV advertising was a big thing. TV was like, hey, we can mass market this. Let's have a celebrity sitting there. I can't do it, but pretend this is Franco, drinking his, but so they gobbled up the little microbreweries. And so that was one of the big sources for why the microbreweries went away. And then honestly, they would get in the law. So then they would help pass laws to make it so, well, in order to distribute beer in this area, you need to be X, Y, and Z. And all of it had to do with size. You had to have this big of a fleet. You had to do this. So they made it really hard for the little guy. And so these macro breweries took over. You got your Michelobs, you got your Millers, your Coors, all those things. And it wasn't until then where people could get the stuff readily to start making their own microbrews, and people started liking it. It became a culture thing. And then also that people would pay for it, because that was the other thing to justify, if you're going and buying a 6-pack for, under $5, it's hard to justify paying $10 for a 6-pack, but then you taste it, or like a good beer, and you're like, heck yeah, there's people that pay $10 for a single beer when it's a really good beer they like. Yeah. So our culture shifted around, and then it became cool. And then the bars, basically some of the laws changed so that you could have these small breweries, you could get in these small stocks and make it doable. And then it became kind of a cool boutique-y thing again to have the microbrews. So yeah, it was
God.
Yeah.
You make me thirsty. You make me thirsty.
Well, I mean, it's like, thank goodness that this really, because really, every once in a while you get some really cool. I mean, there were some beers that you could like import some imported beer. I mean, everybody's all stoked about like Heineken is or Michelob Dark or some garbage like that. Apologize. I'm just saying, man. It was just like when we were like, thinking it probably started from the concept that people. It was like when they were marketing these things like Michelob Light, and then they
tried all of them.
Remember they had all those different weird, like just these strange beers, and then I think that once you started seeing people going for these like beers that were coming in out of nowhere when you were in college, and you could get them for cheap or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was whatever happened, man. I appreciate it. That's for sure. It's like you just can't sit there and drink the same Bud Light for
I tried all those beers before. I tried all of them. The Michelob, the Heineken. I did it because it was a fade. Everybody was drinking Heineken. I drink Heineken.
Yeah.
I got with a friend who drink Budweiser. I drink Budweiser. I drink Genuine Draft. I tried all of them, but Miller to me is much smoother. I don't have no aftertaste.
Yeah, it's a little waterier.
I can't do Miller. I can't do Miller, but I mean, I also can't do Coors anymore either because of how much I drank of that garbage when I was in kind of high school. Not that I drank in high school, but
Jim did not drink in high school.
Nah, you didn't drink in high school.
I've got a picture lying around somewhere that it's in some podcast. I'll show you guys this. I had it started off with a remember the beer, you make a beer can pyramid.
Oh yeah.
And then at some point, my buddy and I started making this beer can pyramid out of Coors Light cans, and then it got big, and then it didn't just get big; it got deep.
Oh, so it's like a pyramid. Yeah.
It was a pyramid, and then another pyramid in front of it, another pyramid in front of it, another pyramid. And it was taller than us, and then another guy got drunk, knocked it over, and then I turned it into a beer can wall. Like it was like 3-dimensional beer can wallpaper.
That is such like a college age guy, like an early 20s guy thing to do. Is like it's almost like a trophy. Like I drank.
I was a senior in high school.
Save them all.
Yeah, I was a senior in high school. I was like 17 years old, and we were drinking so much that we could paint an entire wall just with the cans that Wes and I drank.
And you were proud of it.
Oh yeah, and my mom was like, "Go." Yeah, talk about culture. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like all moms were like, "Yeah, go ahead. Do you need another case, Jim?" But I mean, yeah, I had a refrigerator and a microwave in my room, and she said it was to prepare me for what college life was going to be like. And I was like, that was the reasoning, and I was like, whatever, right on, I'm in.
That's awesome.
Oh man.
Brutal.
Okay, so I want to drink. Oh, go ahead, Fabian.
Now I'm about to say I didn't drink too much beer in high school. I was drinking. My first drink was Mad Dog 2020.
Oh God! Smiling Moose, dude. I'm telling you, this has got to be a different story. But remember, at some point, we're going to talk about the Mad Dog 2020 Club.
Yep, the whole era, and the daiquiri, the sweet daiquiri.
Well, and there was a thing called malt duck that nobody remembers. Nobody knows that stuff. It was like an absolute aberration. Aberration, a grape aberration. It was carbonated. It was like if you carbonated Mad Dog 2020 and put it in little bottles, and you'd get littered. And then
it was soda with booze in it.
Oh yeah, and you just it was like Mad Dog 2020, but fit. It was like
it's $3 now.
Yeah.
Mad Dog 2020 is I know, but they don't even make it's like now they have like different flavors of Mad Dog.
They got 3. Yeah. They got banana, cherry, grape. It's on the north side. The north side. $3. When I was a kid, it was $1.99.
It's like Ripple.
When I was a kid, I didn't drink at all in high school. That was I was the guy who would show up at the parties and the people would be like, "Jake, you're not going to tell anyone about this party here, are you?" I literally had a friend, not a girlfriend, but a girl who was a friend say that to me. "You're not going to tell people." I'm like, just because I'm not drinking doesn't make me an ass. Like, come on.
Everybody was drinking in high school.
I found out I wasn't drinking. Yeah, no, that's awesome. No, I didn't. Our thing was like, I stopped drinking when they invented the funnel.
That my brother has a story from in college where his roommate wanted to go make a beer bong, which is basically a funnel with a tube, so you can get the beer in your stomach really quick. And
then it would sit right about here.
Exactly, just
the line of like 10 beers and 10 beers, and then we'd always toss a couple of shots of Jack or something in there, and you'd have 2 shots and 5 beers, and you'd go. Yeah. And you'd all be sitting right about
That's
there.
Good old days. Good old days.
In your esophagus, it'd be just.
I was actually with Senator Russ Feingold. We were campaigning for him at the outside the stadium, outside of Camp Randall. This was back in the day, and I was one of the people helping him, walking around. I kind of took on a security role because people kind of mobbed him, so I kind of I was like Russ's left-hand man to like help, clear the way. Anyway, so we were up and we walked up by a house party because people were like, Russ. So he comes up and he's like, hey, how you doing? And they were doing 2-story beer bongs. They had a beer bong with like a 20-foot tube. And they're like, do the bong. He's like, no, I can't do the bong. And they were all like chanting to get Senator Feingold
to do it.
Bong a beer. And he wouldn't do it. But then I forget, something happened. People were like, hey, take a beer. And someone like tossed him a beer at short range, tossed him a beer to kind of hit him in the shoulder to get beer. And I'm like, guys, knock this off. Like I'm also like, turning into like security patrol for some reason. For this
you don't got your Bucky Badger outfit on right now.
But anyway, he was laughing. He's like, I guess it just feels right to smell like beer outside of Camp Randall because he had a card on his shirt.
Yeah, if you're north of Illinois and if you're east of Minnesota, you should probably smell like beer.
That's malt cologne. Yeah.
At least on Saturday.
Or brandy.
Yeah, exactly. On a game day Saturday. Okay, so hey, quick updates. I would like to say, this is for Franco. Bill Cosby's still alive, and he did not get pardoned.
Oh, that's right.
Still in jail. Okay. I'd like to say for Jim, Charlie Sheen, as far as I can tell, is still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Well, they see that. I was thinking about that, because it's like kind of it's like it's so relative, the concept of death and life.
Especially when you're Charlie Sheen.
Did we start off in negative numbers, or yeah. Well, his career doesn't seem to be alive that much, but nobody's career is alive that much right now.
Oh yeah, it's cool. And then for Yi Kang, who's not here, but I'm going to call him out. Miss Betty White turned 99 this week.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
She is not just alive; she is thriving. She is someone I look up to and go like, yeah, I want to be her when I'm 99. I don't want to.
I seen her in the magazine yesterday.
Yeah,
she turned 99 years old, and somebody else turned 97. They were back to back.
Yeah. So far, Jim's got 0. Fabian's got 0. I got 0. Willie Nelson's still around.
Willie Nelson got vaccinated too.
So then on the other end of the predictions, Fabian was like, not only was Bill Cosby going to die, but he was going to get out of jail. So far,
the year ain't over yet. The year not over yet.
True. There's plenty of year left. Packers, I predicted the Packers would win the Super Bowl. Year's not over yet.
Right.
Let's just see how that goes, huh? Let's just see how that goes.
Right. That would not work. That would not work.
And so Jim, I inadvertently cut off Jim on our last podcast. And he made a death prediction, but he did not make a positive.
Yeah, you make me make a death prediction.
Yeah, he was mad about that. He was mad about that. Jay was like, I'll see you next week.
I will give you the floor now. Any positive predictions for 2021, Mr. Jim Britton?
The election won't get overturned. Gosh, I don't know.
The reason I didn't give you the time last podcast, you had nothing.
Well, I probably would have then. I wasn't didn't think of next year.
Yeah, because he wanted that. He was mad. He's like, I want to say something.
You know what? My band, I predict my band will actually see some kind of
Super Tanker, the band.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see. How do you predict? I'm not saying. I don't want to predict success, but success from the standpoint of
there's levels to this shit.
I think there's going to be a cool. Opportunity. I think there's going to be some opportunities for bands in general. I should say. There's going to be some opportunities that we're going to see. We're going to see a new way to kind of move forward in this kind of weird culture that we've created that the pandemic has created.
So you're saying the band's gonna come back? The band's gonna come back.
I think bands are going to come back, but I think it's going to be something. It's going to be a new dynamic to how music entertainment in general moves forward. I think there's going to be, I mean, it's going to be a noticeable, there's going to be a noticeable product or a noticeable approach or something is going to be big, and it's going to be something. I don't know what it is though. That's the problem. But
And
that's
you
what
said you in the band? You in the band?
Yeah, I'm a singer.
I would like to get a CD from your band.
We're just. I'm not. We're about to release some stuff. February 14th, I believe. Ooh. So when that releases, I'm not at liberty to explain what it is yet. But we're going to relate. It's kind of a teaser, I guess. I didn't even come in thinking I was going to have a teaser, but I do. I got a teaser.
I want to hear it. I really want to hear it.
You know, from kind of moody rock, I'd call it guitar centered rock, just because you guys aren't like keyboard heavy, but it goes from sort of like kind of grungy Midwestern, almost, I wouldn't call it soul, but it borders on soul, and it borders on some of that stuff on the soul side of rock, you know.
Yeah.
And it's got really heartfelt lyrics, although a lot of the tunes are very fun. Like the talk about that the boxing tune, Jim. That boxing tune is this is gonna be your hit.
All right. So I'll talk about the boxing tune, but a guy recently everything is recently because it was last year. Just consider recently is sometime before March of last year. All right. So a guy said, you know, because we kind of used to call ourselves like somewhere between indie alt and something like that. It was indie alt and something anyway, kind of an indie alt band. And then somebody said, "Man, how do you write those?" We were doing some stuff for the new album, and he goes, "Man, writing that power ballad stuff, man. That's power pop." He said, "Power pop," and I would power pop, and I went power pop. And then it dawned on me that it is. It's
your voice makes the power pop.
It's somewhere, right? Exactly. So essentially, it's like a guitar based, vocal centered.
Yeah.
Do you think? Is that accurate? Guitar based, vocal centered, or guitar centered vocal?
Jake, you heard his music?
Oh yeah, I produced it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's producing and
with Mike Zirkle. So this for me, this is a great project because Mike Zirkle is an engineer I've always looked up to over the years. Great engineer in Madison, worked on some of the biggest projects in town. And then when these guys approached me, they had worked with Mike in the past, but now Mike wasn't at a studio anymore. He was more kind of doing mixing on the back end. So I said, why don't we record it and then I'll pass them off to Mike to mix. So it's like the best of both worlds, where then these guys get the advantage of working with that guy at the level that he's able to do it now, and then he's able to put in all that time at home and just he take a new fresh approach to. So I got all these ideas, the band has all these ideas, we throw all these ideas, and then we hand them off over to Zirkle, and then Zirkle takes them from there. And
then he's got ideas.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is, so we go to Jake, have him do production. He helps produce and record. All right, we kick it over to Mike, and then Mike mixes. Well, you did some. I mean, you mix and record, and I mean that's all.
We did a lot of pre-mixes and a lot of ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And then that goes over to Mike Zirkle, and Mike Zirkle does mixing and some. He does a little bit of production, and that whole thing happens, and then we're taking it as the songs get finished. We're going to take them and kick them back to Jake to have him master it, and then and so it's like it's just going back and forth, and then he hears it as it comes out, and he's able to. It's a really cool. It's going to be a fun project.
How many tracks? How many tracks will be on the album?
10? Is it 10? I think it's 10.
Yeah, but you guys are just releasing a couple of them early on, right?
That's part of this. How this is gonna. We're not giving away the secret.
He's being all mysterious, Fabian. See, so this.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Hold on, this ties into something that I want to talk with you guys about. So between the three of us, we got over 100 years in the music industry. I know that's sad to say. 100 years in the music industry between the three of us.
We ain't tell our age, Jake.
So, point being here, being what we've been through and being kind of like the lessons you learned. And let's start there. So like some of those lessons, think about early on in your career where all of a sudden, you're all just like thinking, we're going to blow this up. It's going to go to the top. We're going to do this. And then like that hard lesson that you learn early on. And I can think of that. I can think of when, you book that big gig and you're planning on it and you got all this, but then as a kid, so we were actually high schoolers in my second band, high school band, and we booked this big gig. It was in Madison. We were like, coming from Fort Atkinson to Madison for the big gig. And I remember a woman who was in charge of a church youth group that was a big part of this audience. Like, she wrecked the gig for us. She absolutely wrecked the gig for us. She accused me, and this goes back to like me not drinking. I didn't do any drugs. I didn't do any drinking. I was just like the straight A student, and I was a lead singer.
You're a bad musician.
What's that?
You're a bad musician.
No, I'm not saying it as a drug.
You were essentially the rebel.
Where I was coming from, music was my drug at that time, And so
you were the rebel. You were the one that was not doing everything else.
And she accused me of being high on drugs and like, to her church group. And to the point where they called in my band to their church for a meeting with our parents to talk about like, we think he's on drugs. And like all my friends are like, Jake? You talking about Jake? Like, dude is like a soccer player and like a calculus kid. He's not like that kid's a nerd. He's not a druggie.
A mom in Madison?
It was the church group leader from our hometown. So there was a big church group from our hometown that came.
It was so this person was in Fort Atkinson before we got there.
Yes.
That's bad.
They were at our gig and brought a bunch of kids to our gig because of this thing. And it was a horrible experience. So like went from like one of our coolest, like highest paying gigs to like, what is this? Like, I'm just trying to play rock and roll music. I'm just trying to do, and we did everything from like pop, like current pop from the, what was then the 90s to like rock and roll to like, we even mixed in some crazy like old school tunes and stuff like that. And like, we were the furthest from like druggy
devil music.
Yeah, exactly. To her, that's what we were. Yeah. So that was crazy. So I don't know. It's early on. What's a lesson you learned, or like a story, either a successful story or like a going backwards story?
Well, my first concert, Appleton, 2011. Appleton's about an hour and a half from Madison, Wisconsin. Those who don't know, but anyway, me and my cousin. Mr. PS, Jake,
Don't say that.
Right. Well, anyway, we about to do a concert and we do everything legal, get the paper, limousine. So you got to do all this stuff. A lot of people don't know this. You got to get your paper right. So when you park a limousine, you won't get a ticket. That kind of stuff, right?
Permit. Yeah, you get your permit.
Right. You got to go to the state. So we done that. We done everything we're supposed to do.
Wait, let me just say. So Fabian has a label. So he had multiple artists from his label at the show. That's why they did the limo. Yeah.
God.
Right. We did everything. Now, the first concert, right? So we went to the concert. It's about 300 to 400 people in the streets. No lie, right? 300 to 400 people. So we get ticket because it was 3 clubs and he owned all 3. Casablanca and 2 other clubs, all mixed together. So I got a lot of people, our first concert, everybody there. We get ticket first because there's 300 to 400 people in the streets, and they say it's my fault because they can't get in the club. So that's
because you're a hip hop promoter.
I'm hip hop, right?
They blame.
So I said it ain't my fault. It's other clubs. It's just like State Street and Madison, right next door to each other. A lot of clubs, right? But it's my fault. They standing around. They want to get in this club, couldn't get in. It's overpacked. 3 clubs. So I get a ticket for that. I get a ticket because they have to pay for the police have horses. So I got to get a ticket for that because somebody got to pay for those people who's on the horse to get the crowd back. So that's me. I get a ticket for my limousine. I got the paper. Two parking spots. They say, no, sir, you need 3. You got to stretch limo. I get a ticket for that. This all the same night. I get a ticket because it was a fight in the club. Now, I'm like, we went on at 10 o'clock. We was done by 11. back to my people gone back to they like 21, 22. They going back to the hotel. They gone, right? 2 hours later, I'm still there because I'm just enjoying my first experience, right? It's a fight there. I get a ticket for that because they said those my people. I said, my people got in the limousine, they gone. You run these people, that's your fault. So basically, I got a ticket for the club fight. I got a ticket for the people outside. I got a ticket for, they got to get a police officer for the horses. I got a ticket for the parking space. The DJ, then one of my artists, he brought a CD. My first time. He bring a CD so the DJ can play the music so he can perform live. The CD was skipping. Crowd was looking at him. I was sweating. I ain't worried about it. I told my cousin to deal with that. I go in the back, go in the washroom. I was trying to get away. I wanted to run like, God, why you doing this to me? I go in the bed. I say, God, why you doing this to me? He bring a CD to a live performance. So I go in the bathroom. My next artist who's supposed to go up, Mr. Ja, he's spitting, he throwing up. I said, why are you throwing up? You drunk? Ain't no drinking. We got to go. He said, no, I ain't drinking. I forgot to tell you. I never did nothing live before. That's where you people. You say you saw a lot of people. Yeah, like 5 or 6 people. 5 or 6 people. We got like 1,500 people in 3 clubs. That's too many. I want to go home. You can't go home. You know what I'm saying? So
you are home.
So he can clean up. He like, I can do it. I can do it. I said, I know what you need. What you need? Stay right here. Shot a Jaeger bomber. Drank 2 of those. He was okay. We went out there. The CD still skipping. DJ looking at me like, I hate your guts. You know what I'm saying? My artist arguing with the DJ. Somebody, it's your fault. You don't know how to DJ. It's your fault. Got fingerprints all on CDs. Who do CDs? You got no MP3? I didn't know none of this stuff. I'm already getting ticket by everybody I just named. He throwing up. So that was, and then it get worse. My baby mama now at this time, my baby mama is like 4 months pregnant, wherever. She take her shoes off. So my feet hurt. The next thing I know, I see the security grabbing her like she stole something. And she said, help me, baby, help me. So I admit I did what any other man would have do off his first day of a concert. I turned my back like I ain't know her. He got me another drink. So they took her out the club. And I got the yo girl. I said, who? Where she at? You see her? She's like, baby, they took me out the club. I was told them she should have kept her shoes on because I had other problems. I had to get them. He throwing up. I got tickets left and right. I don't got time for her. To this day, she hates me. She brings up every once in a while.
At a bar.
Yeah, because you're at the club, they tell you keep your shoes on. But she was pregnant. So you know, pregnant people, they feet get. So when they told her, I said, hey, after I got the club, she said, why you didn't help me? This is your concert. You should have followed the rules. You should put your shoes back on. I got other problems. You know what I'm saying? So that's my good thing and bad thing of my first concert. 3 clubs sold out more than anything. Everybody came to support me. But at the end of it, my ticket was almost $5,000. Oh, I forgot it. We didn't get paid that night. We supposed to make $20,000. I didn't know that the club was closing down that weekend. That's how I got in.
That was like their last weekend open. Yeah.
Yeah, it was last weekend open. So when they wrote me a check and I tried to cash it, they said, oh, you like Casablanca? You were there? Oh, we stopped them months ago. They closed down. They what? So I got all the tickets, like once again.
The bad check.
Everything, the police, the people, the horses, the limousine driver, the DJ. I didn't pay the DJ. I didn't have no money.
The horses, man. What the hell?
Because they had horses in Alberton to get the people back. The people were trying to mob inside, you know, it's a limitation. It was like 500 to each club. So that's 1,500 people.
What year is this?
2011. Casablanca.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Alberton.
Yeah, you wonder how they went out of business, you know? You're like,
Casablanca went out of business. It was the biggest club at Alberton. So I was wondering how did I get in this? I got 3 clubs, and all these people think I'm a celebrity, and everybody came to see me, and I got tickets for everything. And like I said, DJ was mad at me. I ain't paying him. I had to owe him like $300-400, and it all come back to my cousin. I said, first of all, I told you, don't take checks. He said, no. I said, go through the door, $5 get in so we can count our money. He said, no, the man convinced us to do a percentage off the club. So my cousin said, I graduated out of college. I know you get percentage.
Tell them about percentage at the door.
Huh?
Explain why not to do that.
I like doing it at the door because I count my money, so I know how many people in here. So I get sure money.
But
He want to get me.
Yeah.
Huh?
You got to have somebody at the door.
You got to have your guy at the door.
Your guy,
your girl at the door. Yeah.
But see, we was in the limousine drinking. So when the man called,
I'm just saying, you got to explain it to the people that are listening right now.
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah.
People out there.
That's the advice. That's the advice component. Is put one of your people who you trust at the door.
At the door. You got to do that and follow the rules. My cousin drunk. I'm drunk in the limousine. He said, "Cuz." He looked at me when I got a pour in the bottle. He said, "Hey." The man said, "Can we make a deal, get a percentage at the bar?" I said, "We don't know nothing about percentage at the bar. We ain't even want to try to fake it." He said, "I said, get the door." He said, "No. If people don't want to pay, if they want to pay $5, they shouldn't go in the club." It was cheap. So we did a percentage because I'm drunk, and I said, "Fine, percentage." So at the end of the day, we must have made about 20,000. We had so many people there, 3 clubs. The man gave us a $400 check. Somebody he didn't make no money, and he accused me of everything. My people had a fight. My people was gone. What are you talking about? You rung all these people. I had nothing but bills, DJs, everybody. Nobody got paid. The only thing got paid that night was the hotel. Oh yeah, and then my cousin's girlfriend dumped him because she used her credit card for the limousine, and nobody got paid. So that was the lesson I learned.
Who paid to get your baby mama out of jail?
Oh, she didn't go to jail. She got kicked out. She got kicked out. And I'm still hearing about it 10 years later. She's like, remember you got me kicked out? And I didn't do it. All I did is turn my back like it was anybody would have did what I would have done. First time, everything on the line, the show must go on. So ladies and gentlemen, no matter if you're sick, like he was sick in the bathroom throwing up, the show must go on. No matter if the DJ is playing the music, a tape, don't bring no CD. Don't do that. He had a CD, everything must go on. And even though she getting kicked out, turn my back. I don't know what you're talking about. She be okay. She out the window like, "Hey, baby." They like, "Ain't that your girlfriend?" I don't know. I turn my back. The show must go on.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if it's hip hop, you got to have a DJ that knows how to like bring vinyl, and then he can vibe on if it starts skipping, he can vibe on it. And play off of that.
Right? Well, I don't name the DJ as a known name. I don't name the DJ, but.
You know what the problem is that your name is Fabian. Of course, they thought there was going to be a celebrity there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a famous name, right. Everybody was there.
It doesn't matter what situation you're in. If your name is Fabian, you are a celebrity.
So that's that's up here. It's levels.
Congrats.
It's levels. Jim don't know the inside joke.
Jim doesn't work. Like Jim is like, "What up, Jim?"
So
Fabian, you go, Fabian. All right.
See, but Jim with the Y is intriguing.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Where does that word come from? Jim with a Y. So the door thing. This is what Jim was talking about. What you were talking about. So this goes back. My dad was in a band in high school, and I'm talking 60s. Okay. Mid 60s. And they were a touring band. It was a big group. They had a horn section. It was a big deal. They'd go and tour and they'd go and play a club. Back then, you'd play a club for a week. You'd get a contract and you'd play a week. You'd play every night, or you'd do like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That was like your group. Same club. They'd sell tickets, all that, and it was like the piece of the door. And my dad says he noticed that like the bar owner would be like, "Let these people in who didn't pay," and he's like, "Those people didn't pay." And he said, "Those are regulars. Don't worry about them. They're regulars." And so they'd get around that, and then they'd say, "Oh, there was only 50 people who paid tonight," and they're like, "There was like 500 people in here dancing, like 500 people, And of course, they didn't have a person at the door, so they learned that. And then part of their contract was like, "We'll give you a place to stay." Well, oftentimes it was like the basement of the club or like this upstairs flop house, basically a grungy place with like 2 beds upstairs of the bar back in the day. And they'd like, we're going to drive back. This is like 3 hours from home. We're going to drive back tonight. And he's like, "No, this is the contract. You're going to stay here. I'm not paying for a hotel, or I'm not paying for this and this." And they're like, we're going to drive back. He's like, no, you're supposed to stay here because I need you here tomorrow, you know? And you know, that it's like a timeless thing. Now, again, are there club owners who are absolutely honest, who are very good to musicians? Yes, there are a ton of those. There are a lot, especially in Madison. But just look out for yourself. As a young musician, look out for yourself. You don't have to be distrustful of everyone, but just don't trust everyone. Just don't trust.
Talk to other people. I mean, you're not going to get everything right now from us, obviously, but you need to talk with people that are already in the scene, that have been around for a while, and if there's something that's questionable, talk to one of those people about it. Talk to people that you know that have been doing it for a while, and say, hey, well, this doesn't seem logical, or, you know, this is a thing that I don't feel comfortable about, or whatever the situation. Right. They said that I can't do this. That's a big thing. It's like, well, no, we don't allow that, or something like that. But like, how do I get around it? Or there's a whole lot of things that come up, well, for instance, the room and stuff like that. Sometimes they'll, especially it happened in Colorado, where you might do a gig in Aspen, but they put you up at a place that's 60 miles away and such and such, you know? I mean, and that it's just cheaper to get a place in, you know, Dubuque than it is in Madison. So, so those are just things that happen like that, but it's really important to get in touch and develop relationships with people that are in the music scene that have been doing it for a while. And
there are some clubs who do charge you for sound. So like, they got to pay a sound guy, and that comes out of the door. And there are some clubs that charge you for, you know, if you get a list and you get 10 people for the door. But if you bring more than that, they'll charge you for some of that. And there's some, you just got to know what that is. And make sure.
The other thing. This is another thing that used to this is the thing that drives me nuts. And this is for not just people that are in the music industry. This is for people that go to music shows. All right. This is for all of you. All right. If you show up with your girlfriend and you walk up to the $5 cover or $10 cover that's at the door, and you say, hey man, couldn't you just give us, 2 for $1? Just turn around, get back in your car, and drive away.
Yeah,
all right. If you're not willing to pay if you're not willing to support, support the place that you're going to. Okay, and if from a musician standpoint, that's why you have somebody that's at the door that you know and trust, is because you just say no, that's not okay. We don't allow people to come in 2 for $1 or whatever, because that ends up happening where the doorman knows a regular or whatever. And I understand the concept. I've done it a bajillion times when it's not something where somebody else's pay depends on the money that's coming in at the door. But when the money depends on the people that are coming in at the door, you don't just let people come in because Joey happens to bring his girlfriend that day.
Right.
Yeah. And I have a running thing. I mean, just because I work with so many bands, is a lot of people are like, oh, we'll put you on the list. And I'm like, no, you pay me for my time. I will absolutely pay. Well, we're going to put you on the list anyway. And when I go in, I insist on paying it. It's like, whatever, what is it? Maximum going to be $10 for a local show. You pay the $10. That's what I'll pay for a drink when I go up to the bar. I can pay that for the talent because this is their income. This is their job.
$10 to park.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You just paid $10 to park, and now you're complaining about a $5 cover. Stop it.
Yes, pay your cover charges, tip your bartenders.
I charge $5
tip your bartender.
And amazing wait staff.
Yeah.
$5 to $10 I charge at the door. Only time I go up to $20 if I got a celebrity coming.
Oh, yeah.
If a celebrity coming, be like $20. So I always do like anytime before 9 o'clock, free to get in. After 9, $20 because I got a celebrity that's gonna perform at 11:30
here.
So that's what I do.
Fabian could be showing up any moment now. Now you're paying full price.
And my artists, the way I do my artists, if I got a show going on, so I got like 5, 6 performers. I let each one of them bring 2, 3 people. I said, bring them in. Basically, I'm already put the money in the tip. So they come on in, they have their girlfriend, they have an extra person. I'll be like, so I got 5 artists. You got to bring somebody free. They can have somebody come in free. They performing for you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with having a list of. But there's a list. I mean, your list is 5 people, and you stick to the 5 people. Or your list is 10 people.
Right.
You stick to the 10 people, and I mean, it's based off of what. Figure it out and understand that whenever you put people on that list, that takes money out of your pocket.
Right.
And it's fine to take money out of your pocket if the money is going into your pocket because of those people. All right. And I mean, it's really important. I mean, understand that at this point in the world, we were probably all, I don't know about you guys, but I'm assuming this is the way it's been for, I guarantee it is, because I don't think that anybody started was anybody doing professional gigs pre 88?
Not a real professional gig, like a school dance. We played like middle school dances.
All right. So professional gig in 88, okay, if you're in a band, essentially at the time, at least in Colorado, what you were hoping for is that everybody in the band got paid $100 each per night. Like that was like a thing. $100 each per night. Okay. It's now 2021. All right. And your goal is to make $100 each per night. All right. Now understand that's not your goal, but that's like
your minimum.
That's reality.
That's still what you're looking for. Is like, man, if I could make a C note on it, if everybody makes it, then it's worth our time and everything. You know, nothing is. I mean, the concept of musician inflation doesn't. That's not real. That doesn't happen. So that's a whole nother thing. But that's another thing too. Is that understand that you got to treat it like a business. You know, that's part of the advice that I have. For sure.
Treat it like a business from day one. Like,
don't play for free. There's no such thing as exposure. All right. People die from exposure every year. So do musicians. So musicians, the concept of, well, we're gonna give you a lot of exposure if you if you come in, you can play for free, but you're gonna have so much exposure. Well, did you pay the caterer? Are you paying the bar, bartenders,
for the show? You're doing Facebook ads. Yeah.
Is everybody doing it for free? Because if everybody's doing it for free, then it's a different thing. Then I'm more than willing.
For charity or something, that's a different story.
For sure. If it's a charity thing and everybody's doing it for free or whatever, then
fundraiser
on board with it, then all right, far out. But I mean, don't get suckered into the concept that the musicians are free because they're just musicians.
Because they're having fun.
Yeah, right. Because they're having fun. Because it wasn't the fun.
You got to get in the business the best way you can. Because the way I did it, at first time I've been in the business for a while behind the scenes, but I wanted to go out there and do it, concerts. So what I did was, a lot of promoters hate me because, especially in Janesville, so they hate me because I cut into their money. The way I did it smart. See, when a promoter is promoting a concert and that's their concert, and they get their friends to open the act. Everybody want to rap or sing or whatever. They open the act. You're supposed to pay the promoter $100. Some of them charge $100, some charge $150. You give me $100, $150, I let you be on stage for 10 minutes. So I thought about it for a minute. And I was like, I got cut into that. So the artist said, how much I owe you? I said, you don't owe me nothing. They're like, wait a minute, I can open up for nothing? For nothing. I don't pay you. You don't pay me. I'm going to put you on a flyer though. So put you on the flyer. So I put everybody on the flyer, whatever. So everybody started coming to me. They'd be like, man, why ain't going to you? So that's how I got Janesville and Evansville and every major city in Wisconsin, because I never charged my artists. I never charged people who say, can I open up for you? Can I get a 10-minute spot? I'll give you $150. That ain't nothing. I get more money than you do it for free. And you probably saying, how? Because when you're on that flyer and you're in your own city like Janesville, oh, hey, dog. It's performing this Friday. Oh, yeah. Your name will bring a lot of people. And then this person, a lot of people. So all the promoters get mad at me. Why you let them do it free? Now, who I do pay is my artists. So I got like 3 artists that night. But you got 4 or 5 people performing. I open up at 9. Y'all ain't going on to 11. So I can let them do 20 minutes, them 20 minutes, they 20 minutes, they 20 minutes. Now my artists, I tell them, they say how much I'm getting paid. I say I'm giving you $50 for every song you do. But the most you can do is 4 songs. So I already added up. So if I got 3 artists and he said, well, I'm gonna do 4 songs. Well, guess what? That's 200, that's 200, that's 200. That's $600 coming out of my pocket. That ain't nothing. I got a whole night because I'm paying $600 for that and the DJ is $300, that's $900. The rest of the money is mine. So if I got 500 people coming in the club, add it up. If it's $10, that's $5,000. So you subtract the 600, right? You subtract the 600 and you subtract the 300. That's $900. So 900 subtract $5,000 is $4,100. So from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock, while you're making $10, $12, $13, $15 an hour at your real job, I made $4,100 sitting back going like this. You up next. Go ahead. You up next. And that's how I came over. Yeah,
but then you took that money and you put it back into your artists too. You invested that.
I took 80% in the money. If I got 4,100, I might take 500 jack off and put the rest in the studio. And that's how getting in the studio to get more songs. You can't keep playing the same song for 3, 4, 5 years. They don't keep seeing you Janesville, Appleton, Milwaukee, Green Bay. You've been doing the same songs for 3 years. Why are they paying all that money? You be like, I new material. So every city I go to Green Bay. Who the hottest out there? Oh, those 3 hours? Free. They don't bring everybody. Free. And that's how I was getting paid. I just use that's my logic. Your artists, pay them something, but have a limitation. So if an artist say how much I get paid, you in your mind you say how many songs you gonna do. He might say 6 or 7. You be like, no, I can't do that many. The most you can do is max is 4. Well, that's only 200. I gave him a limit. Now he gonna do 4 songs. Each song is 3 minutes and 50 seconds, all the way to 5 minutes tops. That's 20 minutes on stage. All I gotta do is pay him about 3. You know what I'm saying? Pay him that little much.
I mean, you can do that in hip hop and R&B because you're singing, you're performing the tracks, and by artist, that's like an individual. So like that's a different story. If it was a band going on stage, I mean, you're not going to get a band to set up in 20 minutes.
It's really cool. It's really cool to see that the dynamic between the different how it works, because I'm not familiar with how the hip hop scene runs, and this is really interesting for me. I like learning about stuff like that. It's really cool. And I'm not playing for $200.
Huh?
But if it was just you singing, that would be a pretty sweet night, especially if you're opening up for a national act. I mean, that's
Super Tanker isn't playing for $200, but Jim will.
Yeah,
no, but you know what I mean.
But you got to look at it. A lot of people got taxes. A lot of people got child support, so they can't. They regular check. They messing with that money. I'm giving you $200. You up there 20 minutes. You make $200. I give you more money than you make in a day and a half of your real job. Because you're making $10, $12, $15.
Yeah.
You gotta look at it like that. You gotta work a day and a half to get this for 20 minutes. Don't
forget, like don't let the people that aren't musicians don't give them the idea that they're paying for the time that we're on stage.
Yes.
Because the time that we're on stage is not what I'm getting paid for.
Right.
None of the artists are getting paid for what they do on stage. What they're getting paid for is what they're doing to prepare to be on stage. They're learning the music, they're developing music, they're creating music, whatever it is that they're doing. They're shedding, banging their gear, doing, taking the night off. Yeah. How many? My first band used to get so mad at me because I would help load in. But at the end of the night, man, when we were loading out, I was like, hey, no, man, I got to be talking to our fans. I got to be schmoozing. Nope, sorry. I was Captain Prima Donna, and I would take off. The front guy would take off and start talking to the people. Hey, it's Jim Party guy. And the whole band is just like hauling out gear going, you son. But I was like, come on. Other than implicit, I would just sit there like blowing my head out singing. We were singing. Understand? So my first band, we were singing. I was singing things like, oh God, I was covering Guns N' Roses and a band called Kicks and Kingdom Come and Scorpions Blackout. Screaming, hardcore, crushing, like if you're not breathing correctly, you're done. Like it would just blow myself out every single night. By the end of the night, there was no way I was hauling out amps. I just wasn't. But
I never, I didn't get a chance to do a concert for a band yet. That's one thing I haven't done. Right now, I'm writing songs now. I'm into country pop on that Taylor Swift stuff. So right now, lately, I'm writing. I might not be in the studio every day, but I'm writing country pop. I'm getting to that now.
What was the
So
Yeah.
Ben was sharing a couple things, and I thought this was awesome. The show must go on. The show and the shoes must go on.
I see
I
it.
love it, Ben. I love it.
Shoes must go on.
The shoes
Yeah.
must go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay, so hey,
That's a Queen song, right?
the show must go on.
The shoes must go on. Isn't that a Queen song? The shoes must go on?
Is that Black Savage? Is that Black Savage?
Black Sabbath. See, boy, we picked from completely different music.
Okay, hey, so totally different subject. We already went through our updates. We already went through all that. This is
about my first big gig.
Oh, do it. Boom.
You're gonna skip me again.
I thought I included you, man. Take it. The floor is yours.
Look at Jim.
I'm muted.
Jim like, cool, skip me again.
Okay, so all right, so I'm skipping opening. Okay, the first time my first band, it was a cover band. It was a good cover band. But the first band that I had, the first time we opened for a national act was a band called Molly Hatchet, and the band that we opened up for in Pueblo, Colorado. Skipping that. Fast forward to the first big thing that we did, that I consider probably the one that was probably the most fun big thing, and that was we did a real quick. Now this is a lesson thing also. So I'm not a huge fan of battle of the bands scenarios. I don't like competition in music. I think it's and this is why. All right. So essentially, this was a big. It was at a club in Golden, Colorado. It's a suburb of just outside of Denver. It's where Coors beer is made, in Golden, Colorado. That's where they get all the water. Right. So at this place called the Buffalo Rose, and there was a battle of the bands competition that was happening, and essentially all these big bands were coming up. Not big bands, but major local acts, I should say. Local acts, popular local acts all came together to be in this battle of the bands. Now, understand, we are the only out of, I think it was like, it had to have been like 20. I think this is in, maybe somebody will remember it, who knows, but I think it was 20 bands that got entered into the competition from around the Denver area, all rock bands. And out of the 20, one of them was a cover band, and that was mine. All right. So you'd have 5 bands over the course of 4 weeks that all, what? See, exactly. Yes, you're right, Benjamin. You're right, Benjamin. Whatever. Yes, I get the Uno. Uno. All right. So this is the structure. 5 bands, 4 weeks. One night, it was like every Saturday night for 4 weeks. 5 bands would go on. There'd be a winner that night of the battle, and then they'd move on to the final round, which would be 4 or 5 bands. I think it was 4 bands. 4 bands. The on the 5th week. And whoever won those nights would go up and they'd all battle, and then that would determine the winner, right? We won, all right, and we didn't do a single original song the entire time, all right? Now, that doesn't go over well for a lot of reasons, but you're muted. You're muted.
I wasn't saying anything. I was pretending to talk.
Oh, you were. Oh. All right. So all that happens. All right. So I did all that stuff, and I'd never forget the look on. I mean, and these were all really fine bands. They were doing some really cool stuff. The thing is that we were a really good cover band. We were a really good cover band. It was like we had really smoking musicians doing really good covers, a diverse range of covers, and you had a pretty decent vocalist, if I do say so myself. And that's that. It worked out really well, and we won. But the thing that we won was the point of the conversation, which was one of the things that we won besides our studio, or it was like money for something. Anyway, we want some money to get parts, or I don't remember. Like I think I got my all this stuff, and then one of them was opening for the Tubes. So we got to open the Tubes. She's one in a million, girl.
Oh,
one in a million. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, she's a beauty. White punk sign, dope. Yeah, good song, good band, amazing band, and amazing to open for. The first time we opened for a national act in the Denver metro area. Okay, and that was the fun part. Now, understand that I felt terrible winning it. And that's the lesson, is I felt terrible winning it because the people that we played, that we battled or whatever, we were all on stage. And at that point, all I wanted to do was work with these people on stuff. I mean, the whole time. And they're all looking at me like, you jerk.
They put the bands in this position rather than in
everything is this. Yeah, it's a competition, and it turns into this like thing. And I vowed at that moment that I'd never be in another battle of the bands again, and I never have. It's just a terrible, it's a terrible thing. And what it is that everybody gets into these bands and nobody gets paid. The only people that get paid are the freaking the venues, the venue, the radio station that's promoting it, whatever it is that's going on. They're all getting all this. They're all getting the scratch.
Yep.
And then at the very end, there's this one band that makes enough money in order to do whatever, and then they open for the Tubes.
Yep.
Which was amazing. I'm not saying it wasn't amazing, but we got to open for a lot of national acts, and the Tubes wasn't probably shouldn't be my pinnacle. That's the lesson.
So I have had the advice, I guess the position over the years of a lot of people come to me when they're booking their festivals or something. Hey, who are the hot acts this year? Come. Who are the good ones that we should book? And I said, well, how much are you paying? What's your budget? And every once in a while, there's one particular large event locally that is notorious for this. Well, it's exposure. We're going to do exposure. And I said, bands have expenses. Okay. So not just gas, not just being taking the day off work to do all this, but the rehearsal. And so I said, at the very least, if you're going to do exposure, if you're going to put them on the radio and you're going to take out TV ads with their name on it, and you're going to hype up the show, at least, so you get sponsors, find the sponsors and find something of value to them. I'm like, it ain't a whole lot for you to go and get $50 quick trip gas cards for every single member of that band. And that goes a long way. It ain't a lot for you to go and get, free meals from these local places who are donating. And you know what? I would gladly pay a show if all of a sudden we were getting a bunch of that stuff. It's value. It's showing appreciation for a musician's time. And that to me is the biggest thing that a lot of these places don't get. You got to appreciate their time and understand it. They're not always greedy trying to get a ton of money. They want to be appreciated for their time. They want to be appreciated for their art. And it's that combination. So I'm always like, hey, if you say you don't have a budget, we're just paying the headliners and everyone else gets to open and we get this exposure. Kind of like what Fabian was talking about, where some people are like, yeah, I'll play for free because I want the exposure before a national act. A lot of people are willing to do that, but find some way to reward them. Find some way to give them value. Give that band value other than just saying it's promotion, it's exposure, and it doesn't need to be a ton of money. It can be other things.
It's just like the golden rule.
Yeah.
It's just a golden rule. That's it. I mean, a golden rule fixes everything.
Yep.
Treat everybody like you want to be treated. I mean, would you do it? Would you spend 4 months coming up with this in order to go on stage one time, and then would you take it for free to gain exposure? If you would, you've lost your bloody mind. But
Jim, I would think about when you won a contest, and the reason the rest of the band was mad at you is because they feel like they put their blood and sweat into it, and y'all did cover songs, which is like it's perfect, but it's a little cheating because how they regular songs they do. Cover song is all the world.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand
That's
exactly
all over the
why they're
world.
mad.
So
I
how
understand why they're mad. I couldn't believe that we won. I was like,
Right.
why?
how's
I mean,
my song? How my song? I'm going against you, and you playing Guns N' Roses for real. Come on, you know what I'm saying? There's no competition right there.
Yeah, no.
But you gotta also be a genius to know how to play Guns N' Roses. You gotta look at it that way too.
The whole idea that whoever was putting the battle together, the contest together, or whatever, you know, allowed it to happen that way was mind blowing. Because I mean, essentially, I mean, like it should be like an all original group. It should be all original acts, or open it up and then everybody knows exactly what's coming up on stage. All right. I'll never forget somebody out in the audience going, "Play something of your own." And it's because I mean there was like people out there that were all like they were all fans of all the other bands that were out there that were on stage. I mean, understand it wasn't like, I mean, I'm not saying that we weren't really good. But what I was like, I'll never forget this vocalist, the vocalist for this other band that was on stage that last night. And he came walking up after we won, like we were all on stage still, and he walked up and he just looked at me and he just goes, "You," like that. And that was all it was. And it was like this moment where it was literally it was like this thing where he was like, you know, if you couldn't have hit those notes that Axl Rose hit, if you couldn't have hit those things that Stevie Ray Vaughan does,
hey, pulled it off,
done that thing that whatever, if you couldn't have pulled those voices off, we wouldn't be in this position.
Right.
But now we are. you know, and I never, I mean, I desperately wanted to work with a bunch of those bands after that, but there was just no way. I mean,
it put you in an adversarial
no communication. There was no. It was just it's a really difficult thing. That's the other thing too, for anybody that's ever like in a situation where you're playing with a lot of other musicians, get everybody's contact information. Okay, because there's going to be a time when you're going to go, oh my gosh, I know exactly when, and I could totally work. There's going to be a moment where somebody's going to go, hey, do you know a harp player? Or hey, do you know a B3 player? Or hey, do you know and you're going to go, I played with a B, and you don't have it because you didn't ask.
Right.
Yep. You know? Or what we would do to a lot of success when we play in Madison, we'd invite a popular Milwaukee band who maybe didn't have a draw in Madison. So they'd play first. Sure, we'd absolutely make sure that they made enough money to cover gas and all that stuff. Right. We'd play second, and we had this other big, some semi-national or touring group playing third. And then we'd say, hey, we'll do this for you. Do the same for us in Milwaukee. We're fine playing a gig for $200 in Milwaukee. We want to get there. And so like we were willing to take that. We'd go there. They'd promote their show. They'd bring their fans, and we'd go play in Milwaukee to a great show. And it was like, hey, so that gig trading, like, hey, we'll scratch your back. We're not going to take advantage of you, but we'll scratch your back. We're going to get you a gig where we know you're not going to be bringing more than 5 people to this show.
Right. Then, it's not exposure. It's just, this is a give take thing.
Yep.
You know, get value out of every performance. Value generally doesn't come from the club owner unless it's like, if you play here for free once, we'll have you every week for the next, or once a month. But the first one we want for free. It's something like that. There's a bajillion, but just like I said, process all the stuff if it's logical, and then talk to people that are in the industry and say, does this make sense?
Yep. Hey, there was a comment in the chat that I want to talk about, because it talked about when we would play with bands, we would always stand in the front row and cheer on the other bands. And we would do that stuff too. You got to support each other. You got to go out to each other's gigs. You got to be there, be the ones cheering for them, be the ones, making a hoot and hollering and making things raucous, because there's nothing more when you're up in that position on stage. There's nothing more than you love than people being into your songs. So be those.
Don't expose yourself.
I love that.
Yourself.
Yep.
And you don't expose yourself unless you know it's going to be like in the newspaper. Then Katie bar the door. Go ahead and take your shirt off if you want to. But I mean, don't drop your shorts when you're in the front row unless you're going to get that.
Hey Ben, I feel like we should have had you on tonight without Yikang. I should have brought you in. Maybe next time we'll have you in if we got 3 of us. So I'll bring you in. I appreciate you hanging out. Hey, this one's I do not do shots, Fabian. I poured a shot of tequila. This is for Fat. This one's
what kind of tequila is that?
This is Camarena. This is a kind of a mass marketed, but to me, one of the best inexpensive tequilas that's out there. So Camarena. Fat. Cheers.
Yeah, he watched the program.
Jim's like, you're drinking Camarena and calling it good.
Freaking Uno.
Hey, Jake, you were saying something? Jake, you were saying something about the
You left.
Skips the guy on a shot.
I left out again. I know who that is.
Vince.
My little Vince. This guy's been to Minnesota for games. This guy has been to Dallas for games. So look, he's got his finger pointing up like that. So now watch when I turn him. You can turn him into a vulgar Vince if I just turn him right here. Doesn't it look like he's just flipping a bird?
Yeah, no, it's like he's playing Dallas.
Y'all leave my Dallas alone.
You're a little Vince. Right now, I'm going to get somber for a second. So Hank Aaron passed away yesterday. Yeah, loved Hank Aaron. I have a little personal connection to Hank Aaron. My grandfather in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, was with a group of business people that used to play cards all the time. When Hank Aaron came up in 1952, he played for the Eau Claire Bears for a summer in 1952. Honestly, one of like maybe 5 black guys in town, honestly. And didn't have any friends. He's an 18-year-old boy. Didn't have any friends up there. Didn't know, even on the baseball team. And my grandpa saw him and said, this guy, let's invite this guy over. And they did this to a lot of the new guys who came up to the team. Let's invite him over. Let's play cards. So my grandpa would play cards and eat snacks. And he played several times, had Hank Aaron over to the house, play cards as an 18-year-old boy in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And then years later, when I worked on the Doyle campaign, when I volunteered on the Doyle campaign, Jim Doyle and Hank Aaron toured around the state. And I saw Hank Aaron say, when I think about Wisconsin, I got so many ties to Wisconsin. I love it. Love, the Brewers, all that stuff, went through some troubled times. That guy went through a lot of crap. But he says, when I think about it, when I was an 18-year-old boy and I went to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, I will never forget the people who treated me so nice, who welcomed me into their house, made me dinner, who we'd play cards with, who we'd just sit around, shoot the breeze. He said they made me feel like I belonged. And so like that one, this is you, Hank. Thank you for everything you did, man. And,
I read it. I think yesterday. I read it yesterday.
I'm skipping you too. Oh, well, I guess.
Yep.
I'm
Hank. All right. On that note, any final parting thoughts from either of y'all?
Oh, Jake, you was gonna mention the weather.
Yeah, we'll talk about the weather next time. It was just because it was cold and snowy, and I was thinking that would be a fun stories about kind of what we did as kids. That next time, teaser for episode 6. We'll talk about it.
You got teasers too.
Oh, okay. Teasers, okay.
So Jim, since I dissed you twice, man, Jim gets the last word tonight.
What?
Last word.
Man, we got to have a discussion at the beginning of these things so that I know what's coming up. I mean, man, seriously. All right, young musicians. Talk to people that are in the industry, but break all the paradigms that you can. Just because somebody in the music industry says this is how it's done doesn't mean that's how it has to be done. You do it your way. You do it the way that you think is the right way, and as long as you're not stepping on somebody else in the process, unnecessary. I mean, obviously, in a negative way, then break paradigms. Always do the right thing. That's the best advice of the night, right there. Great job, Jim. Thanks, Fabian. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. He had another. Paradigm. All right.
Great out production.
See you next time. Hey, go Pack. Go Pack. Go.
Yes. No.